Yesterday, if you did not hear, Workers Strike Back launched. So this is a new initiative from Kshama Sawant and those at Socialist Alternative. They decided to start an organization to create a national labor movement across this country. And Kshama came onto this show to talk a little bit about it the day it was announced. So she came on that evening. I want to play a little snippet of what she said there. And then I want to show you videos and pictures from the launch in Seattle, which our comrade Nick at RBN was actually a part of, and he was a speaker there. So I want to go ahead and start off with that clip here. And here we go.
And when I say we, I mean Socialist Alternative. As you know, we are a democratic organization. Our members discussed this, and we collectively decided that it's important for us to launch a national campaign and really a movement. And as we've said, it's Workers Strike Back. And I just wanted to clarify, I don't know, some of the headlines call this a new labor movement. I want to be very clear. We're not here to replace the labor movement. What we are here to do is share our message about a fighting strategy and the need for rank and file members of the union movement and also non-unionized workers, young people who want to fight against the climate catastrophe, to defeat big business, to win Medicare for all. How do we win all this? It is through this kind of strategy, and we want Workers Strike Back to empower working people nationally, including in Seattle. And so that's why we're going to have a launch of Workers Strike Back in many cities across the nation on March 4th. And I really urge everybody to sign the petition if you go to workersstrikeback.org.
Okay, so there you go. So she came on that night to talk more about Workers Strike Back. Now, I have to say something before I go to the other clips. I'll go ahead and address your question first, actually, Betsy. Sabby, are you going to cover Marianne's big announcement? It was painful to watch, but the guys that do dissidents made it more tolerable. I am not. And I want to tell you guys why. I already covered the Marianne announcement when it was announced a couple days ago. I know she made her official announcement and she had a speech yesterday. But the reason why I decided not to cover it again is because there were two things that happened yesterday. There was Marianne Williamson's announcement that she's running for president, which I had already discussed that a couple days ago. But there was also the launch of Workers Strike Back. And let me tell you what I saw yesterday. When I looked on YouTube, everybody was covering Marianne Williamson's announcement, which I had already covered it before. And with the exception of CJ, I didn't see anybody else covering the Workers Strike Back launch. Maybe some people will cover it today or tomorrow, but to me, and I told you guys this a while back before, I found it to be a little bit odd that she decided to have the announcement the same day that Workers Strike Back launched. And Workers Strike Back actually had announced this way back before she decided to have her announcement. Could just be a coincidence. But what I feared would happen happened, which was that more people would be covering that instead of covering the Workers Strike Back launch. If you are 100% behind the workers and you're serious about trying to build some type of working movement, I don't understand how this was even overlooked by people. And it's been overlooked by a lot of people who said that they're all about the labor movement. But here is an organization to create a national labor movement across this country. And the day that it is launched, if you were live yesterday and you didn't even mention it, that is very odd to me. Very odd. So I think a lot of you know where my focus is. My focus is on helping the workers. My focus is getting out in these streets. My focus is trying to create some type of organizations where we can help the workers. And so when Kshama Sawant announced Workers Strike Back, I was like, this is perfect because this is not a political party. They're not running candidates. This organization is to mobilize people to work on different actions for labor in this country, which is exactly what we need. Imagine if we had something like this when Chris Smalls was fighting to unionize Amazon. Imagine if there were all these other chapters across the United States in that fight with him if we had Workers Strike Back. Just think about that. So for me, I decided not to cover it today because you guys have already seen like what, 10, 15 other people cover this already from yesterday. I'm like, everybody's already covered it. And I didn't want to play that same speech again. Did not want to play that speech again. So that is why I decided not to cover it. I think you guys know where I stand. I'm not supporting anyone running through the Democratic Party or the Republican Party. I'm not supporting the duopoly. And I think at this point, honestly, I didn't need to cover something that's already been covered like by 15 other people. But I did want to give attention to Workers Strike Back because, like I said, not many people, with the exception of CJ, not many people even mentioned it yesterday. So Nick, our comrade Nick from RBN, he actually went to Seattle. So he had the opportunity to meet Kshama Sawant. And I saw this picture and I was like, maybe Nick is taller than I realized. Either Nick is tall or Kshama might be shorter than I realized. But Nick shared this and he said, Kshama Sawant is too powerful. And here's a picture here of Nick and Kshama. And I want to show you what the signs say. This one says, nationalize the railroads under workers' democratic control. Monthly meeting of Workers Strike Back, Monday, April 3rd, 6 p.m. And that's at UW Alder Hall Auditorium. And then Nick has this sign that says, no more sellouts. We need a new party. And I 100% agree, because we've seen a lot of movements just get co-opted and they just funnel people right back into the Democratic Party. And we need something different. We need something just for the workers. And that's it. So that's where my focus is. And I think that I was really happy for Nick to be able to go out there to Seattle and meet Kshama. And Nick also gave a speech. And I do want to go ahead and highlight part of that. Let me get that one up really quick first. This isn't the full speech. I think Nick is traveling back. He should be back today. Nick posted part of his speech, but hopefully he's going to have the full speech uploaded to RBN hopefully soon. So let's hear a part of what Nick had to say here.
Did you vote for endless military spending that makes record profits for Raytheon and Boeing? Did you guys vote for that? No. Did you guys vote for the record amount that is going to ICE, DHS, that is going under in the Biden administration, not Donald Trump? He's spending more money on ICE. Did y'all vote for that? No. So, now that we acknowledge that we live in a capitalist dictatorship, how do we approach that? What is the answer? It's time for Workers to Strike Back.
Awesome. So that's Nick there. I'm hoping to see the rest of the speech so we can see the full speech there. But Kshama Sawant, of course, also gave a speech, and this is actually shared on Workers Strike Back Twitter account. So let me go ahead and cue this up here, and then I'm going to tell you about future launches, and one of them I'll be a part of as well. So let's go ahead and dive in here.
Capitalism relies on a divide and rule strategy in order for a tiny minority at the top to exploit the billions of working people on the planet. They need to divide us in every possible way and disorient us. We cannot let them.
Right.
As a socialist, I fight for reform because I think we must fight for every real being we can, for working people because our lives depend on it. But at the same time, we should not have any illusions. As hard as people need to fight to win any reform under capitalism, all the society, a socialist society based on solidarity and equality, run by and for working people, not the billionaires.
That's right.
So I want to say something here that Kshama mentioned here about reforms. Notice she said we can have reform after reform, but at the end of the day, all the reforms just don't add up to be enough. And this is one of the criticisms I've had as well about reform. Like it just, it's like a drop in the bucket. It doesn't really change the system. And I've seen it not just with political reforms, but I've also seen it in the education system. These reforms on education doesn't really fix the system. It doesn't make things as better as they could be, because it's just, again, it's a drop in the bucket. And the systemic issues still exist. Same thing with healthcare. When people say, well, we have healthcare reform, Obamacare was a part of healthcare reform. But I think we can all argue that that doesn't go far enough. We still have a lot of people in this country that still don't have health insurance, or they don't have adequate health insurance. So throughout my life, I have seen reforms just they're not enough, and it doesn't change the system. And so I'm glad that Kshama mentioned that like we've tried this with many reforms. Now, I want to talk a little bit more about Workers Strike Back, because I want to show you some of the events that they do have coming up. So yesterday they did launch in Seattle, Philly. They also launched in the Bay Area. That looks like that was in Berkeley. And they launched in Pittsburgh, Durham, North Carolina. And today they launched in Minneapolis. And then this Saturday, if you're in the area, I hope to see you there. I will be at the Boston launch. Now that's going to be Saturday, March 11th from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. I will be a little bit late because I actually have a debate before that afternoon, which is going to be recorded. You guys won't see that until June. Like, it's a part of this convention. I'll get into that another time. But so I will be there, but I will be there a little bit late. So I'm excited for that. And then I want to announce the other ones that are coming up as well, in case you're wondering if there's one in your area. Chicago will launch also this Saturday, March 11th. Madison, Wisconsin, Saturday, March 18th. And then there is a special event, April 8th, in Pittsburgh, how to organize in your workplace, Workers Strike Back Pittsburgh. So Eric, can you put the link to this page in the chat so people can follow this page so they'll know about all the different links, and also the one for Boston, because there is a sign up sheet for this, as you can imagine. It is probably a good thing to have people sign up. And then also, I want to show you the demands again, just in case people are wondering what the demands are for Workers Strike Back. Our demands. Second, workers need a real raise. 2, good union jobs for all. By the way, under need a real raise, they're asking for, we strongly support the fight for $25 an hour. No more 15. Number 3, fight racism, sexism, and all oppression. Number 4, quality, affordable housing and free health care for all. So I think someone did reach out to me asking me if healthcare was a part of this. Yes, healthcare is a part of this as well. So definitely follow this website. 5, no more sellouts. We need a new party. And I 100% agree. I'm going to read this one really quick. The Democrats and the Republicans both answer to billionaires. That's why working people keep getting screwed. Even so-called progressives in Congress have completely failed to fight against the establishment and offer no solutions. We need a new multiracial working class party that organizes movements and fights unambiguously for our needs. In such a party, all elected leaders would accept only the average worker's wage, like Seattle Council member Kshama Sawant. We would need elected leaders to be fully accountable to our membership and our demands, or else removed. We need a party that consistently opposes war and imperialism. Under capitalism, the bosses call the shots and have dictatorship over our workplaces. We need a fundamentally different kind of society run by and for working people, not the billionaires. And while there are no candidates at this point in time, because like I said, they're not focused on politics per se right now. Right now, they're focused on getting these wins for the workers, with the workers. And I did ask Kshama, I said, eventually down the road, would they ever want to run candidates? He's like, maybe down the road, but that's not where their focus is right now. And even then, those candidates would not be running through the Democratic Party or the Republican Party. So shout out to Kshama. I'm glad that this has officially launched. If you're here in Boston, I'll see you this Saturday at the Boston launch. I haven't decided if I'm gonna stream that or not, since I'm gonna be getting there late anyway. But I want to go ahead and make sure you have this link as well, so you can always refer back to those demands, because people have been asking, like, what are the demands? The demands are right here on the website. So we need something for the workers. It's just, time is what it is. I'm sorry. It's just, a lot of the wins we've had over the past 2 years have not been done through electoral politics. They've been done among the workers and for the workers. That's where we've been getting those gains. Let me go ahead to some of the comments, and then I'm going to go to the story here about Joe Biden. Thanks for the super chat, Justin B. Why give Marianne any more coverage? That campaign is going nowhere, not worth covering. Yeah, I mean, for me, like I said, like, this launched yesterday, and with the exception of CJ, everybody else was just talking about Marianne instead. And I'm like, we'd already heard the announcement a couple days ago, and I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know. But thanks so much for that, Justin. And I already said what I had to say, you know, in reference to that campaign. Like I said, she's good on some issues, but I just don't believe in trying to do this progressive strategy through the Democratic Party anymore. And I'm not going to ask you guys to donate money to that either. I'm just not.